So this week we were talking about the history of the cowboy hat, which coincidentally is not that old, to be honest. But before cowboy hats ever came into play, usually what they would call cow punchers, never heard this term, but they would actually wear anything from top hats to actually old war hats, Civil War headgear. So, and sailor hats also. So I thought it was pretty interesting that until John B. Stetson, pretty sure that's how you say his name, came along, there were pretty much you could just wear anything, but now they're a cowboy hat. So, yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, it's interesting. So the Stetson hat has not changed in style since it started. In 1865, the construction of the hat is still almost the same, which is really interesting. And I guess I've always thought of the cowboy hat as a sort of a fashion item. I guess that's because of the time that I live now. But you know, it is a really useful hat in a lot of ways. So there's this story, and I don't know exactly how true it is, but there's this story about John B. Stetson being out on a hunting trip with some people, and he wanted to impress the people and show them, hey, I can make a blanket without weaving anything. And you know, they had a dead animal, so he skinned the animal and made a blanket out of the fur. And then apparently, as an additional way to kind of show off, he made a wide-brimmed hat, supposedly as a joke. Like the brim was just supposed to be overly ridiculous for its size. But once it was made, people said, hey, you know, this wide brim, it's protecting me from the sun, it's protecting me from the rain, and all the other, you know, elements that come at me as a cowpuncher. So that's
yeah, I mean, it was very functional, and that's what made it catch on, is how functional it was. So it the high crown of the hat, it provides insulation to the top of the head where most of your heat is lost. So basically you're losing heat through your head, and it's basically insulating the heat in your head. So it's keeping your head warm, number one. And then it also has the wide brim, so that gives you shelter from sun, rain, snow, whatever you might encounter. And then it's also waterproof. And so not only does it protect you from the elements, but you could carry water in it. So they could fill the top of the hat with water and, you know, give water to their animals, or they could drink water from it and carry water with it. And so it made it really, really functional, which is why it caught on so quickly and why it's still around.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to actually think about the origins of the hat, because like you mentioned, Sam, when you think of cowboy hat, you just think like, yeah, that's just a cowboy hat, but it didn't exist before, and it was made in 1865 and John Stetson actually started with $100. He rented a small room, bought all the tools he needed, and bought $10 worth of fur, and a year later he created what's called the Hat of the West, and it's now the famous Boss of the Plains hat, which is just really fascinating because, you know, everybody thinks cowboy hat, they think Stetson, and he started with $100, and these hats cost like $70 to $80 each now, like almost as much as his initial investment. So it's pretty fascinating how popular. When the original Stetson was about a $5 hat.
Yeah, I mean, startup costs for a business in the mid 1800s are
much
way
lower
better than they are today. I would almost start a business if I lived back then.
Shows if you make something well,
Yeah.
Right.
it'll stick around.
Positively, it will.
For sure.
Subscribe!
Come on, push the button.
You know you want to.
Do it.